This is Smarter San Diego TV.
The presidential election is in full swing, and our next guest is here to discuss the first night of debates. Please welcome real estate expert and concerned citizen, Mike Litton.
There he is, Mr. Litton.
Hey, buddy.
Friend?
Good to see you.
How you doing?
Doing good.
Big election going on right now, obviously. The second presidential debates are tonight. Would like to talk with you about the first debates, just to get an idea of what your thoughts were on that. I have some thoughts on that.
Okay.
And then what we can expect tonight. So first and foremost, I think what's happened is, in the first debate, I don't think anyone's mind got changed. I think it was just kind of more of the same from both candidates. What was your opinion on that?
I think some minds got changed.
You do?
And I'll tell you specifically what I saw. And right after the debate, CNBC, who is really in the tank for Hillary Clinton, had an informal survey for their viewers for CNBC.com. And 67%, literally the next morning, 67% thought that Trump won. I think that there is a particular disdain this election season for slick, for cat that ate the canary look. If you watched what Clinton did, there was a smirk on her face the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay, like the cat that ate the canary, like she's got this thing sewn up, and this is it was almost condescending. Right.
At one point, Trump said, "You are acting like you're greater than thou." I thought
Yeah,
that was the
holier than thou. Yeah,
the perfect way to actually describe
Yeah.
the look on her face.
Well, and that's but that's what I'm getting at is there was a time, last two election cycles, maybe three, where you had somebody with charisma, you had somebody who could talk, but you've got people who are talking and they're not getting anything done. And I don't feel like the American public, the electorate, has an appetite for that now.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I would say she made a mistake on, because she was very well rehearsed in her answers. She picked her little spots to lie very carefully, and they were touching on really important issues. She was very well prepared.
Oh yeah.
To attack certain elements and to exaggerate certain things and to treat things as fact that were actually not true and didn't happen.
Right.
So she was, I think, a lot more prepared than Donald was. I think the biggest mistake that Trump made, I would call this debate a draw, personally. I don't think anyone, I think it was just sort of neutral. Everyone who likes Hillary said Hillary won. Everyone who likes Trump said Trump won it. But I think where he made the mistake was that he assumes that the people know too much. So he was name dropping things. He was saying things, what about this person? What about that person? And he was just sort of mentioning it. But most people don't know what the implications were of, like, her, previous campaign managers and things like that. I don't think most people know those intimate details about the stories behind it.
Well, it's true. And you and I, the last time we talked about the fact that he needs to be specific. And he needs to be specific because he's talking to a wide audience that works for a living. He's talking to a wide audience that they don't necessarily watch everything that's political. They're not necessarily people who watch political goings on, every day, that kind of thing. And so they wouldn't know who that former campaign manager was, those types of things. You're absolutely right. He needs to be more specific, and he needs to be specific about the things that matter to the American electorate. That's my feeling about it. And I think he missed it in the debate.
I think he missed an opportunity too. I wonder what'll happen tonight, as round two is, the candidates obviously are going to watch this. They're going to study what happened. I think if you're, if you're in Trump's camp, you look at it, the best moment for him was when he turned the, hey, why don't you release your tax returns, into, what about your emails?
Yeah.
That was the best moment, I think, for Trump. Hillary had some really good moments, but I think her biggest mistake was the smirk.
Yeah.
Constant smile, just smiling like, oh, I'm so much better than this. I'm so much better than this whole process.
Yeah.
That was her big mistake. I don't think we'll see that again from her tonight.
Yeah. I think what you'll find is I think she'll learn from this, and I know he'll learn from this. One of the things that happens with Trump, and I don't know if many people followed this, I did, he got better with every single debate. So every single primary debate he was in, he got better because he studied himself, he watched the video, he improved. My feeling about it is he'll continue to improve, and what we'll see tonight is a more improved Trump. And I think what we'll see tonight, well, he made some mistakes in this debate, in this previous debate. And I think he knows it. I think he realizes it, because when he came off stage and he went into the spin room and he was doing these different interviews and that type of thing, one of the things that I noticed was he was not that happy. He was not that excited about how everything went. You could tell that it was something that he kind of felt like he left some things on the table. The email thing, I think, was particularly interesting because he brought up the 33,000 emails and then left it alone. That was a real opening for him, that he could have taken and really scored some points with that, and he didn't do it. And there were 2 points in this debate that I thought were interesting. One was the president. She prepared to be the president. She prepared to be president of the United States. I thought that was an interesting point that looked like it was incredibly rehearsed, and it fell on deaf ears. It was almost one of those things that she wanted to say to score points, but didn't really score any points with it. I think it could backfire on her. The other thing is, with him in particular, that the whole thing with the emails and the whole thing, there was a line that he was going to bring up about Bill Clinton's past infidelities, and he said, "I'm not going to do it because your family's here." And in the interviews afterwards, he mentioned that he looked at Chelsea in the audience and decided not to say it. Whatever it was, he decided not to say it. I believe that the American electorate is looking at that and thinking of that as being presidential.
Okay. Well, I think, and that's an interesting perspective, because I sort of think that I think Trump needs to be more Trump. I think he was trying to be too presidential. There was too many times where he was saying, "Oh, I actually agree with her about this," or "I actually, she has done some good work on this side of things." Whereas that's not why people like Trump.
Right.
People like him because he's Trump. He's not like that. So I think that's where his frustration was when you saw him come off the stage. He followed someone else's game plan, and he doesn't like the results. I expect tonight to see the old Trump back, and him saying, "Screw you all and your advice. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be what got me here, and I'm going to be loud, and I'm going to call her out for everything, and I'm going to keep needling all of the big points," because she has a lot against her. I mean, a lot. And he stayed away from it way too much.
I think that's a mistake, and I'll tell you why. If you look at what happened right after the convention and all the bombastic things and all the terrible things that he said that basically worked against him in terms of the polls and that type of thing, you look at what he's done in the last several weeks. He's done several things in terms of outreach. He's gone to churches, he's gone to inner cities, he's addressed a number of different things that most Republican candidates wouldn't even talk about during the election. I believe that would be a mistake if he came out and was the old Trump. I believe the controlled message Trump is what has gotten him to where he is now in terms of this thing being a toss-up. And I believe that if you were to graph this, and I believe that 538.com has done that, if you go out and graph the momentum that he has, he basically becomes president of the United States. 54.8% according to what they're saying now in terms of his chances of winning. My feeling about it is, if he continues to be presidential, continues to stay on message, the message is becoming more popular, and he's becoming more popular. Instead of being that guy that people look at and go, "Oh, there's no way, no how," all of a sudden things are starting to turn, and it's starting to go the other direction.
That could be true. It's hard to say what'll happen, because we know one thing for sure. Donald's going to do what Donald wants to do.
Oh, sure.
And if he is not happy with the outcome, and I'm sure he'll be looking at the polls very, very carefully, and they'll be doing their own research to see what the feedback was from the first debate. But I have a feeling tonight he's not going to take it so easy on her. I think that was simply the first round of him sort of treading lightly on, the one-on-one style debate circumstance. I think he's going to be a lot more aggressive tonight. Of course, we'll find out in just a few hours. But what do you think is the key tonight for Clinton if she is going to win back all the people who were not in love with the smirky face.
Well, she's going to have to get rid of the smirk. That's the first thing. And I think probably the other thing that she's going to have to do is she's going to have to get pretty good at playing defense, because I agree with you. I believe he's going to come after her, but I believe he's going to come after her in a controlled way. I believe he was frustrated this last time because he wasn't able to get all the things in that he wanted to get in. And I believe he's going to come after her with both barrels. But my feeling about it is, and I'm just telling you what I think, my feeling about it is I think he probably will be more controlled in the process and stay on message more than what you've seen in the past from the shooting from the hip type thing. I think you'll see more of because he seems to be more controlled and more on message and more disciplined than he's ever been as we go forward towards Election Day.
Okay. All right.
So
well, we'll find out tonight.
Absolutely.
Mr. Litton.
Should be interesting.
Coming in again. Really appreciate it.
Great
Check
to
out
see
our
you, bud.
poll on smartersandiego.com at the website given below. We'd love to hear what you think. Who won the first debate? And stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.